All right, today we are going to take a look at a normal sinus rhythm. I know, pretty exciting, right? Well, let me tell you, you need to be able to identify normals before you can identify things that are irregular. So that is going to be one of our big factors that we take a look at. And again, following through the rules will help you out a whole lot. And this should be one of the first places you should start with reviewing any type of EKG is, do I understand what the normals are? So let's dive in. First off, I look at my ECG here, and I have this printed out, and I take a look at it, and I realize that, in fact, it is a readable strip. Yes, I can identify what waves are. Everything appears to be pretty darn clear. My next step is going to identify whether or not I have P waves. So I want to know whether or not I have P waves. So just for this, we're going to come in here and we're going to identify that there's a P wave. There's a P wave, and we'll just go ahead and circle these. So I have P waves. So the answer to this question then is yes, they are present. Do I have a P wave for every QRS? And when I look at my P wave for every QRS, I'm going to again start here at my left side, P wave QRS, P wave QRS, P wave QRS, P wave QRS. Now I'm going to reverse it. And when I reverse it, I want to know whether or not I am actually doing things a little different, right? So I want to know QRS for every P. So QRSP, QRSP. So when I answer this, I have a P wave for every QRS, a QRS for every P, and my answer here to both of these answers, or both of these questions, is yes. Now I'm going to erase this, because now I want to pull in my calipers, and I want to start measuring some things. So I want to take a look here at my PR interval. So I'm going to adjust my calipers, beginning of my P wave to beginning of my QRS complex. And now I want to move this down, and I want to make sure that it is consistent the whole way. So it is consistent, and I'm going to measure my PR interval. And I see here that it is 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 4 blocks. So it is 4 blocks. And if I take that times 4 is 16. Okay, I just add my decimal point. So my PR interval here is 0.16. And I know that this is following normal. So it's normal. It is consistent. And better make sure we had checked this earlier, I thought, but apparently I did not. See, I didn't follow my own rules. And we're going to come down here. We're going to make sure that this is regular. And when I check to make sure that this is regular, in fact, it does appear to have P waves falling where they're supposed to. So now I can take a look at my rate since I'm right here. Here's a couple different things, right? So if I'm remembering this, I have a QRS complex that is right here. Okay, this is my first one. And then here is where my QRS complex goes after that, right? This is where it ends. So I want to know the number of blocks between here, okay? So I need to know what the number of blocks between here is. So when I look at this, I realize that here's 5, 10, 15, 16, 17, 18. So I'm looking at this as being 18 blocks. So I'm going to make life easy for myself, and I'm going to say 1,500 because I know that 1,500 small blocks are in 1 minute, and I am now going to divide that by 18. And when I divide this by 18, and that's because I have 18 small blocks, right? 18 that we identified here, this is going to come out to 83. Okay? So I have an atrial rate that is at 83. By the way, I identified that this is regular. And now, again, little shortcut here. I'm answering all of my rolls. I'm just going to change something right here. I'm just going to check here and see, and it is correct, that if I take from my P to P and I do an R to R, I can even go all the way down here, I will notice that it is regular. And if it's regular and it fell right in line with what my P waves were, this tells me that my QRS duration or my QRS is regular. Okay, and my QRS duration, I have to figure that out, but my ventricular rate is the same. I'm sorry, my ventricular rate is going to be the same as my atrial rate. So now I want to take my calipers again, and I just want to take a look here. And I'm measuring these out, and I'm going to move this, and I notice that it is about 2 blocks. So my QRS duration here is at 0.08, okay? And this is normal. Okay, so I know that this is normal, and I think I can move my calipers out of the way. And I now know that everything falls within normal parameters. Everything falls within normal limits. Okay. It also has a rate between 60 and 100. And therefore, I can now call this a normal sinus rhythm. So this is a normal sinus rhythm. So what I know why this is a normal sinus rhythm, I'm going to take my heart, and when I follow my conducting pathways, I have my SA node, my internodal pathways, my AV node, my bundle of His. I am now bringing my Purkinje fibers. Okay. So what has happened? Well, what has happened is that our SA node is firing between 60 to 100 times a minute. This is representing right here. It's representing that P wave. So it's firing. We then know, and I'll just change colors here, we're then going to take all of this area right in through here. Okay, actually all the way down here to the AV junction, I should say. So all of this area is now going to be measured between the beginning of the P wave to the beginning of the QRS complex, right? So this is being measured right there. Okay, so we're measuring that PR interval. That is telling us how long it takes for that P wave to fire and be delayed at the AV junction before it is sent down to the ventricles. Then our ventricles are going to be, let me get green here. Okay, so our ventricles are going to be represented here by the QRS. Okay, let's make that a little bit easier for you to see, right? So we're going to say that our QRS here, right? So if we take this, it's represented right here. Okay, so the Purkinjes are being represented right here for the QRS complex. And these are firing together. So this impulse sends off, it travels all the way down through, and it fires everything else that it's supposed to. Okay? Hopefully, gives you the idea that this is normal. This is what's supposed to happen. Hopefully you got something out of this. Talk to you soon.